what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I mentioned the rise of Jayden Daniels continuing. Mel Kiper, in his latest mock draft, now has Jayden Daniels going number 2 overall to the Commanders. Although the Jayden Daniels to the Saints dream has been dead, it does feel now more dead than ever. And there's a few different reasons. First off, the more time that you have to sit back and reflect and look at this Jayden Daniels season, the more mind-blowing it becomes. The more impressive his rise becomes and the more dominant he continues to seem. I mean, even here, it's like, okay, so I'm coming over like new numbers, right? Where Kiper, in an old scouting report from the end of the year after he won the Heisman, points out he was second in the FBS in catchable pass rate at 85%. He was third in adjusted completion rate. He was fourth in off-target rate, meaning he was incredibly accurate. How about this? For all the talk of Jayden Daniels going to be a pocket passer, 35 of his 40 touchdowns this year from the pocket. He averaged 6.9 yards per drop back 2 years ago. 10.8 yards per drop back this last year, nearly doubled. So, yes, the rise of Jayden Daniels is, again, I mean, he really is the second coming of Joe Burrow in a lot of ways in terms of winning the Heisman, in terms of having this just unforeseen, inexplicable, never would have thought it was possible improvement from one year to the next. And like Joe Burrow, as people continue to break free of their old, because like it takes people a while to change their opinion, right? And so for Burrow, he was a day 2 guy, or a day 3 guy even, right? Daniel's kind of the same boat. And as that guy does better and better and better, you're bumping him up, but it takes a while for you to accept, just how really good he has been. And so I'll never forget the first time me and my buddy back in the day were talking about, why? I was like, well, why couldn't Burrow go overall? And he was acting like it was crazy. Like, what? Like, no way. Like, what do you mean? It's Joe Burrow. And then, sure enough, look what happened. And I feel that same thing has been going on with Daniels, right? And I don't know that it ends at 2. I mean, I think Caleb Williams will still be the guy, but I don't know, because you know what else plays into this? Lamar Jackson. I mean, what if Lamar Jackson finishes off this run and goes and wins a Super Bowl while looking dominant, throwing the ball out of the pocket and using his nearly unparalleled legs to get it done on the ground? Because when I look at Jayden Daniels, he had better numbers than Lamar in college. He's a better thrower coming out of college than Lamar. Not say he will be in the NFL, obviously, right? But that is the comp, and it's a comp that has proven to be very beneficial and has been for the Ravens for years now. So I don't know where this rise ends. Right now it's at 2. Unfortunately, it does mean likely that, not likely. There is no hope that somehow he was going to still be hanging around for the Saints to snag, a la Pat Mahomes at 11.
He's not going to be hanging around for the Falcons. I know a lot of people were worried about that. He ain't going to be around for the Falcons. I think, 8? He ain't going to be there either. Depending on what the Bears do with Justin Fields and do they trade out of that pick, I mean, maybe there's still a chance he could go number 1. But looking back on where we were with him, gosh, I mean, even in the middle portion of the season, it's like we get to cover the Senior Bowl. We're going there next week. We were like, okay, I talked to Jim. He's going to get a Senior Bowl invite.
Yeah.
Can we get him down to Mobile?
That's
it's going to be a
hilarious.
great time. He's really going to get a chance to show everybody what he can do there. Maybe he can find himself into the top 15. Well, now he has played himself, and no disrespect to the Senior Bowl. We love the game. But he's played himself where he doesn't have to go to the game. He's played himself out of the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
He's in that
too
category.
Good for the Senior Bowl.
He's in that category right now, and it is amazing where there was points in the season where still people had him the 7th quarterback, even after the Florida game, maybe the 7th quarterback in this upcoming draft. He has continued to work himself, prove himself, and there's been other factors on the outside. Now you get a chance to look at more tape, and the evaluator's okay, let's not overthink this
what's
thing.
He doing wrong?
Yeah.
What's he doing wrong? He's playing in the SEC against elite competition. He's dominating. Go turn on the Alabama film and watch what he did against a defense that nobody did that against. And again, to be able to throw from the pocket chunk plays, timing over the middle, everything, to be able to make all of the throws with the accuracy that he did and then be able to run the ball like that. How about this? On scrambles, he averaged over 10 yards a carry this year. And I think design runs was that like 8 or 9 or something along there.
Not oftentimes, T, do you get like last year,
I think he might be over 10 yards a carry if sacks didn't count. Like if sacks did not take away rush yards, I'm pretty sure he would have been over 10 yards a carry.
Last year, like Mel Kiper was actually pretty higher on Jayden than most last year, and we were talking about like would he leave because this is going to be maybe the highest his stock can get, and obviously we were wrong there. But everything you told him he had to get better at, he did, and then some. Like that doesn't happen very often. But every negative check mark you had against him, you said you got to be better here. Not only did he get better, he got elite at what you told him he had to get better at. And that just doesn't happen. And then the things he was already really good at, he raised them to a level of being elite at it. So right now, if you're trying to break down Jayden Daniels and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's going to go wrong here? Like, what's a negative check mark? Like, it is really hard. Like, you have got to find something that I just don't see. I mean, he's played so much football. The sample size is out there. His growth at LSU, his growth this year and his last year at LSU, like it's one of those prospects where you're like, all right, let's not overthink this thing.
Well, and the growth is not by accident. Like the growth is representative of the intangibles that it takes to be a successful NFL quarterback. The obsession, the drive, the commitment. It didn't just happen because Jayden Daniels got a year older, right? It's why when I talk about Jalen Milroe, and yesterday Heisman odds dropped, and Jalen Milroe is actually tied with Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck atop the Heisman early odds list at like plus 750. And with Milroe, it's the same thing, right? He has such clear areas to improve in his games. And if he does, well, then he has a skill set that is untouchable with anybody else. But will you see that improvement? Because it's hard. It's hard what Jayden Daniels did this offseason to be committed to every day getting in there before the sun comes up, to be going and grinding out the mental reps, learning progressions, managing everything else that you have to. It's hard. It's not by accident that Jayden now finds himself being mocked as the number 2 overall pick. Maybe, again, who knows where this ends, maybe even finds his way eventually over Caleb Williams, because as much of a freak as Caleb Williams is in a lot of ways, in the intangible front, I think Jayden Daniels scores higher. And I'm interested. I mean, what is this, a proxy war going on this weekend between Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
For the number 1 overall pick, a comp proxy war, if you will, as Williams is comp to Mahomes and Daniels comp to Jackson. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.